And welcome to week one of college football officially, and week two of Fade the Deuce. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by Kevin Duce, Matt McCumber, and a special guest, but a guy that I've always had a lot of respect for. He goes by Sammy P, but I'm going to call him Sam Panayotovich. Formerly of WGN in Chicago, of Vissen from Vegas, of Nesson, and currently Fox Sports betting analyst. What's up, Sam?
You memorized my entire resume. I'm impressed. I'm also creeped out. And Kevin, thank you for confirming we can drink on this program because your boy's rolling deep here. Thanks for having me on the second episode of Fade the Deuce. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Nobody I'd rather have as a guest, okay? And we don't really necessarily want to have a lot of guests, but I'm like, you've been more than cool to me throughout my entire social media experience. And who really better than to join this wagering show than a guy who's lived in Vegas, who's done all of that. Plus, you get paid. This is what your job is. This is what you do. So perfect thing. So, hey, Kev, anyway, excited for week one almost here?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Excited to have Sam on the show, right? I mean, it's fun when Matt and I get to play around casual bettors, but when you've got a guy like Sam who is involved in the analytics, right? I mean, this is like getting Phil Steele on talking. I mean, so it's pretty freaking cool. And I do have a question for you, Sam. How did you get into this? How far back does it go, if you don't mind me asking?
Geez, you want to talk about when I was running my tournament pools in fourth grade or booking bets in sophomore year of high school? I mean,
yes, I do. I want you to tell me why my buddy Eric Shannon didn't do this with you.
Yeah, it just really kind of worked itself out. And, when I was at WGN, Rhino just, pretty much talked about it. Like I was terrified of being caught by my bosses. Like, are you taking bets? No. But then at that point, like you're an intern, you're a producer, you don't have any money. So you're sort of balancing your reality with your bank account. And I decided to start a podcast called Chicken Dinner with Joe Ostrowski, who was then at The Score. And I was at WGN. We could never work together, but we used to get together once a week during football season and tape our podcast. And, 2 years later, VSiN, Musburger's network out in Las Vegas, was looking for hosts. I was single. I didn't have a family or anything like that, like no kids. So I said, you know what? I'll move to Vegas. But I started gambling when I was like 13 years old. It's in my blood. My uncles all were gamblers. My dad's a gambler. So it really didn't fall too far from the tree, the apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm out in Vegas quite a bit. I work associated with the mortgage industry. They're always having conferences out there. So, man, if you could ever come meet me for a beer, I'd really appreciate that.
I'd love that. Actually, I think I saw you in The Big Short. Were you in that movie? No, I'm kidding.
The Big Short.
I'd say Matt's the better gambler than me, but maybe that wasn't the case in week one. So,
Matt, officially, before I give you the floor, Matt, tell us what happened week 0. 0 for 4. 0 and 4.
That's Matt. A small sample size. That doesn't matter.
That's right. It was a tough week, but Sam, I'm glad you're on the show. I need all the help I can get, obviously. So please, we'll see what we can get done.
Hold on. You were 0 and 4, but are we talking like 4 nail biters or 4 blowouts? Because you can make the right bet that loses, and you can make the wrong bet that wins. That's part of this racket, and not to pump you up, you losing fuck, but you can have bets that lose that should have won. Like for example, I bet Ohio this week +3.
Yeah.
And the quarterback is, he's nuts early. He's 7 of 8 for 75 yards, and then he gets hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And then you're cooked. But you can't, some of these things you can't control. I'm hoping you didn't have 4 blowouts on the docket, because then we have a problem.
I could have gotten to 2 and 2. But the Notre Dame game was bad from the get-go. I knew after the first drive I was done. But USC, they had a chance there, but then they took out Caleb Williams in the fourth. And then what was the other game that was relatively the Vandy game?
Right.
They
There's
had a
3
chance.
games right there that could have technically
Hawaii
funny
just
to
looks
me.
a lot better than I think anybody thought personally.
Yeah.
I think, and I know that some people are hopping on him this week. Timmy Chang seems like he's got that program maybe starting to turn around a little bit, so we'll see. Hey, Sam, we talked about this a little bit last week, and before we start jumping into some picks here, were you watching the Ohio-San Diego State game?
Oh yeah, I've got a setup where I've got like 4 games going at once. That wasn't on TV1. I did have USC San Jose State. Your boy had the dog plus 31.5, and they were covering for like 59 minutes of the 60. But then they get that touchdown to go up like 35, and you're like, oh God, here we go, USC. But yeah, I had Ohio San Jose State or San Diego State on. Their quarterbacks sucked.
Did you hedge and jump on a live bet after the quarterback went down?
No, I'm not a live gambler, especially when I've been drinking, Kevin.
Okay.
It's sort of like I kind of have my rules. I try and stay logged out. And we started, it was the first Saturday, not the first full Saturday, but we got to the casino at like 2:30. And by the time that game kicked off on the East Coast, it's like 8:00. Halftime's 10:15. And you're like, do I really want to bet this second half? So it's a matter of discipline. And at that point, after about 8 hours of hanging out and kicking it with the boys, I didn't get involved. I'd make the same bet again tomorrow, all things considered. And I think that's the conversation you have with yourself. Like, you can make a bet that loses, but if it was a bet that was close and it just went against you, that's fine. Now, if you took Navy, and they lose by $1 million, it happens. It happens all the time, especially early. But you want to learn why that bet went so south. It's the ones that were kind of 50-50 that you can live with over time.
Yeah, I think you said some key things here as we're talking about this. Is that I think there's a fallacy that thinks that you guys just wake up one morning and you like, oh, that line doesn't look right, I'm jumping on it. You talked about discipline there, and I think that's really key. What's your home book?
So we've got 3 here in Mass. One of them is technically WinBet at the moment, but WinBet is going out of business. I don't know if you guys saw that news. They only have 2 shops left in Mass and in New York. They're basically out of business in every other state that they're in. So that's at the Encore Boston Harbor right here, about 10 minutes from me. And then we've got a local joint, BetMGM, which is like an hour and a half away, and then Plain Ridge Park, which used to be Barstool, soon to be ESPN Bet. Are we all following here? There's 3 brick and mortars here, and then we have 7 mobiles. But it's great. When I first moved here, I had to drive to New Hampshire, Rhode Island, or Connecticut to make a bet. And now I can literally sit on this thing and bet at 6-7 different places, which is the way it should be in 2023, for crying out loud.
100% agree.
So, well, without further ado, and by the way, big chicken dinner fan, actually 3-time chicken dinner guest. I've actually helped Sammy win some money on Illinois stuff. So, I think
Can I tell a story real quick? Actually, I have my story prepared.
Tell a story. I'd love to hear them about myself.
So the date is January 20th, 2022. And it's like, I'm out at a bar. It's like, I don't even know, 11:30 at night. And our guy Ryan texts me and says, nonchalantly as ever, hey, Kofi's out tomorrow. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, Kofi's not playing tomorrow. And the Illini were riding high. They were 13-4. They were like 6-1 in the Big Ten, and they're going to Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, he's not playing. And of course, at this time, nobody has reported it, which is another fallacy. Like, you think that people are waiting on the ESPNs of the world to break this news? Nah, we get this stuff first through guys like Ryan. There's guys like Ryan on every campus. So, yeah, he says Kofi's not playing, and I basically tell everybody that I gamble with, hey, like, let's pound Maryland tomorrow. And Maryland ends up going up like 20 points. They end up winning 81-65, and they ruled like Kofi. I want to say it was like 10 minutes before tip. They show Kofi on the bench in street clothes, like, oh yeah, hey, Kofi's out. I'm like, let's go,
dude. I've got a funny story. I mentioned my buddy Eric Shannon. He used to live in Chicago. Bunch of buddies there. They're hanging out at a bar in downtown, and some Bulls come in, like basically the whole frickin' team. And this is during the season. They're playing the Nets tomorrow. The following day, it's like an early afternoon, midday tip. Jason Kidd net days, and the Bulls are in this bar. And my buddy gets a text from his friend, doesn't respond. Finally calls him, wakes my buddy up. It's like 3:30 in the morning. He goes, the entire Bulls team is here, and they're all shit blasted, dude. Jump on the Nets tomorrow. Absolutely hammer the Nets covered with ease. So you gotta love that shit, man.
Yep.
Love it. I think one other one sometime. I think there was one where Io was out right after he got his concussion. I think I sent you one. Remember when you had to wear
They still won. He was out, but they still beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of Michigan.
Yeah.
Without Io.
Yeah.
Without Io, correct. So we're going to do 6 games, and then these guys have a lock, Sam. So I think I told you beforehand.
Great.
You got your lock ready. Okay.
I don't have a lock. I have some good ones. I don't have any locks. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, Kevin's lock was good last week. Matt's not so much, but
no.
I got to be honest though. I agreed with him. Who would have thought UMass would have went in there and kicked the snot out of Jerry Kill's team? That's embarrassing. So
it was. It's bad.
Well, I'll be happy to say that you could give USC and San Jose State 66.5 on the over. I'm taking that all day, and thank goodness it hit early and easy. So
okay. So
Sam, just a heads up here. Kind of what we do is it's a little bit probably different from the way that you would attack things, right? I watch you guys' show, and you guys always find these little nuggets like Troy versus Southeastern Alabama State, right? We want to give the fans the games they're going to watch and try and make picks. It does make it a little bit challenging because I know there's a lot of games you look at and you're like, man, I'm staying away from that sucker. But we're going to jump on. We normally jump on the major Big Ten games of the week and then the major games of the week. So we'll have LSU, Florida State. Obviously, that's the biggest game of the week. Just to give you some context here.
And then we do that, and then the lock though is just a fun one that they could pick any game. They could pick, Yale and Columbia, or whatever they want to do. So that's where they feel confident. So the first one, though, Nebraska. We got Nebraska at Minnesota tomorrow night, the first Big Ten game of the season. It's in Minneapolis. Looks like Minnesota is a 7-point favorite at home, and then the line is 42.5. So, Kev, I'll start out with you. And then we'll go down to Matt and then Sam, and then we'll kind of switch up from there on the next.
Yeah, this one, I know there's a lot of hype coming around Matt Rule, what he's going to do here with this team. I do believe Matt Rule is going to implement a system of some more discipline and some physicality that's going to play fairly well in the Big Ten West. Obviously, that's the same style that PJ Fleck is going to run in Minnesota. And when you look at Minnesota, really, really good defensive team. Arguably, they're going to fight for one of the best defenses in the West, and that's saying something when you've got Illinois and Iowa in that same division. But that being said, I don't know where the playmakers are on that side of the ball. I really don't know how Minnesota is going to go out there and score much unless they're getting special teams or defensive touchdowns. So for that reason, that number's too big for me. I'm jumping on Nebraska plus the points.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you there, Kev. I looked back at their last 3 meetings, the last 3 years, and every time it has hit 7 on the nose. I think Nebraska will come in there, and I think it'll be a slow game in the first half, kind of back and forth a little bit. I don't think a lot of points will be scored, obviously, by this over-under 42.5. But I'm looking at this as a close game. Like you mentioned with Matt Rule, I think the discipline is going to be there now. It's taken him some time in the past. He's a program rebuilder, and it's taken a little time to rebuild those programs that he's been in. I'm not looking for them to, win 7-8 games this year, but I think they'll be in games. And I'll take Nebraska in the points on this one as well.
Matt, I'll chime in on there just real quick. One thing Scott Frost did do well at Nebraska is he still had pretty solid recruiting classes. It's not like Rule's working with an empty cabinet there. And I think this is going to lead into a little bit of the conversation we talk about with the later game there. So it's not like he's working with nothing.
Right. I agree.
Sammy P.
Scott Frost is a dickhead. Let's start there.
Yeah.
He took his coaches out drinking at the Guinness factory last year. He didn't take Northwestern seriously, and then they lost to Northwestern, and Northwestern went, for context purposes, 1-11. The only win they had was against Nebraska. So a lot of those guys are back. They actually returned 13 starters in Lincoln this year, which is sort of a high number. Minnesota only brings back 11. And PJ really, from 2020 on, brought back a lot of guys. And 2 years ago, he had like 5 senior starters on the O-line. It's a very young offense this year. They only have 6 returning starters. Obviously, they lose Tanner Morgan. I made the game 4. So I'm inclined to lean to the dog here, especially with a total that's so low. But let me give you guys a little idea of how I operate. This total actually opened 6 weeks ago at 47. So those of you watching this program going, oh, I love 42.5. Well, you have to understand where numbers were and where they are. I don't love the over, but I can't bet under 42.5 when the game opened 47. But I do lean to the dog here, especially at the biggest key number in football, +7.
Yeah.
And, I don't make picks with these guys. Maybe a little bit if it comes to Illini stuff, even though we really can't bet on them. I can't.
Let me guess, you like the Illini, Ryan, right? Yeah.
You like Illinois? Man. Yeah, actually, when we do our locks later, I think, Matt, we all agree with, though, because I specifically asked you, Sam, I asked Matt, and I've asked Kevin, one specific Illini-related, over-under, and we all agree on it. And so I'm going to mention that later before we get to as we actually get to the end of the show. But the next game I want to get to, I'm trying to see. I think it's negative. I think it's Penn State's favorite 20.5. That's
correct.
I didn't necessarily see the over. What was the actual total point scored on that one? I was just looking for it. I didn't see what the current is, but it looks like
current
West
numbers
Virginia
50.5, give or take.
Okay.
50.
Okay.
Call it 50.
Okay, we'll call it 50. All right. So, but it looks like Penn State 20.5 point favorite at home gets West Virginia. Of course, Penn State starting Drew Aller, his first, start a night game, the first big night game of college football season. Of course, it's we don't know how good West Virginia is going to be. I think, they're going to be a little bit better than people think. But again, Penn State's, some people have them favored to win the East. So, Matt, we'll start with you.
I look at this
playing out.
A West Virginia team last year that was very inconsistent. They were all over the board. They had some good wins and had some terrible losses. I see them coming in to Happy Valley and getting run out of the stadium. I think the energy, Penn State is good, is obviously very, very talented. I think they have a top 5 defense in all of college football with who they have returning. I just don't see where West Virginia is going to score here. They might get lucky and get 7-10 points, but I see Penn State having 40 plus in this game. I know where the over-under is at, but I still see this as Penn State. Give me the 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dissension in our picks so far this week, Matt. I'm with you. I think Penn State, I halfway was just hoping this game would be at West Virginia because there's something about playing at night at home as a dog, and I'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
Penn State, if Penn State has to throw the ball, I'll be surprised. I mean, their defense is not going to allow West Virginia to do shit, and they're going to run the ball down their freaking throat all they want. I'm halfway tempted to think Penn State covers the over by themselves. I think they're going to beat the shit out of them. I think the fans are really excited at Happy Valley. I think it's one of the most – they're hyped up for this. They're hyped up for this season. I think Penn State comes in and blows them out.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where you look back at Notre Dame Navy and you're like, oh, that's a lot of points. But really, when it's a mismatch, it's not. And, we talk a lot in the Big Ten about who's better, Ohio State or Michigan. In my power ratings, I've got Ohio State a point better than Michigan and only 3.5 points better than Penn State. So there's not a big gap between the alphas and then Penn State. You know what I mean? Their running game is going to be rock solid. You guys already alluded to it. They have Nick Singleton back. They also have Katron Allen. Those guys are both going to be in the backfield a lot. Aller, I'm convinced at this point in time is probably already better than Sean Clifford was. Sean Clifford kind of stunk. He did the little things right, but he didn't have 5-star talent like Aller. And this is one of those spots where I don't want to outsmart myself and go under 50 because I think there's a chance that Penn State can win 45-7 or 45-10. So I will lay the points here. I don't like a lot of favorites, but these bigger favorites north of 17, they're favored by that much for a reason. I think this is a bad spot for the dog. Night game, Nittany Valley or Happy Valley, excuse me. I think the Nits roll for sure.
Bingo.
Yep.
Again, well, I'm glad to have you on this week. I like just hearing another perspective on the situation. So we're moving now to, of course, my favorite game of the week. I'm sure Kevin and Matt's as well. We're going to go to Toledo in Illinois, and Illinois, a 9.5-point favorite at home. And it looks like the line's 45.5. So, Sam, I'll actually start out with you on this one. We've got a Toledo team that won the MAC last year that brings back a ton of offensive talent. DeQuan Finn is a probably MAC Player of the Year type candidate. They have a good offensive line, really good receivers. Johnny Newton's brother is one of them, Jershawn Newton. And they also, Jason Candle has done a great job with that program. So you really can't sleep on them. But Illinois, new quarterback Luke Altmaier, how's he going to perform? A top front seven that may just be the best front seven in the Big Ten. I think there's a lot of hype coming into this program. The vibes are great. I think it's going to have 50 to 55,000 people in Champaign rocking a night game. Sam, what say you?
I like the under in the game. If you shop around, you can find a 46. I think that's fair. It's just under that key number of 47, which is one of the most popular totals in football. 47 is a very common total, like an average middle of the pack total. It's not quite 40. It's not quite 55. So it's right there in that sweet spot. But I think really Bielema is going to run the ball at will in this game. Toledo has a talented secondary, but they are very weak up front. And look, I don't know Bielema that well. I feel like you guys know him more than I do. Is he stupid? Is he going to throw the ball 50 times or is he going to run it 45 times? If you run the ball on this paper-thin defensive line, you're going to have success, but you're also going to run that clock. And I think Illinois eventually pulls away. I don't want to lay 9.5. If you had a gun to my head and made me pick a side, I'd take Illinois. I'd lay 9.5, but I'd rather go under, like 28-10. 28-10 feels like a very likely final score. So I'm under 45.5, 46.
All right, we'll go Kev.
Yeah, I got Illinois. I picked it on the show Sunday night. It's the exact same reasons that Sam said. Illinois is going to run the ball, I think, at will against a front seven, a defensive front that's really lacking. They've got one returning linebacker of substance there. And then the other aspect, Ryan, you did say that they do have a decent offensive line, but they're bringing in 2 to 3 new starters through the transfer portal. That's not a cohesive offensive line to take on Illinois' front. I really think that this game is won in the trenches. They do have a phenomenal secondary. They're kind of like the exact opposite of Illinois. Their strengths are where Illinois is weak. Illinois is strong where they're weak.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the home team. Illinois covers. I said something like 31-13. I think Illinois runs the ball at will. And my one concern with Illinois is with a young secondary and a mobile quarterback, what happens when that quarterback breaks contain, and could Toledo find a way to get some cheap scores?
Yeah, I'm with Kev on that one. I worry about Finn getting outside the pocket and getting a couple first downs that way. Very good Toledo team, all in all. They're picked to win the MAC for a reason, as we mentioned earlier. I worry about Illinois coming out maybe a little too hyped, being a night game. Some new guys on offense, of course, with Luke Altmaier at QB. But like you both have mentioned, I think Bielema by the third and fourth quarter, this is a wear 'em down. Let your studs up front. We got O-line that has been there for many, many consecutive starts, 3 or 4 guys. They're gonna wear down this Toledo front seven, and I see Illinois covering. I am always a little leery against Illinois and MAC teams because of what has happened in the past. Illinois loses Western Michigan, that game in Detroit. Yeah, the Eastern. Yeah,
Both
it's just
of them.
terrible. Teams they have no business losing to. It has happened. But I'm still taking the Illini under that 10 threshold.
One quick thing here. Bielema lost to Toledo at Arkansas. He's not sleeping on these guys. Just saying.
No, let's just hope it's not a repeat.
Yeah. Oh,
You
man.
guys are
Speaking
such Illini fans. I love it.
Homers for days, bro. We're not covering that up.
Didn't they lose to Western Michigan in like 2011?
2008.
Yeah, wait,
2008. I wrote an article about it recently, Sam.
At Ford Field, and Bill Cubitt was the coach, and it cost us a bowl game. But I digress.
Move on.
We had 14
I have
NFL
lived-
players on that team.
we have lived it all of our lives.
Man, I think I remember one game in particular, 2003 at home against San Jose State. Do you remember that, Matt? You were on the Illini basketball staff.
I was in the stands.
Yeah, San Jose State. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go to this game. We're going to win this game at least this year. We may not be good, but we're going to take out San Jose State. We got it. You know, they're just going up and down the field on us, kick a field goal, 38-35.
The last MAC team to play in Champaign was Eastern Michigan, and they won. So,
yeah.
Law Tech came in and kicked our arse around in 2011. I remember that.
That was Sonny Dykes, Dario Green. That was a really good team. Let's get to the next pick.
Yes. Anyway, not this. This game, right? To me, I think it's probably the best game of the week. I think LSU goes to Tallahassee to take on Florida State, who I think, they're definitely a team that on my radar of a rising team of you could just see that program transitioning into where we think Florida State should be. They have a very, very good team. The recruiting's been really good. And their head coach, who I really liked at Memphis, his name eludes me. Is it Mike Norvell? Yeah, Mike Norvell. He was at Memphis, and I actually was hoping, a few years ago when they had, a search going on before they got Bielema that, Mike Norvell would have been a guy they'd looked at or whatever. But so he's got Florida State rolling. That looks like it's still LSU, 2.5-point favorite. Still. So anybody's game there in Tallahassee with 55.5 total. Matt, we'll start out with you.
I'm going revenge spot here with LSU. They lost to them last year. I think these guys have had this circled on the calendar for 365 days. Under a field goal, I'm taking LSU again. Like Sam said at the beginning, they're picked for a reason here on the road. So I'm going to go with LSU -2.5.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm following that. I think Florida State's a little bit of fool's gold right now. I think they had a pretty good season. Jordan Travis is sexy. He's a really fun quarterback to watch. Go look at the recruiting rankings the last 5 years and what's been brought in Baton Rouge compared to Tallahassee. Brian Kelly is a phenomenal coach. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in college football, and he's rated pretty high. I think, just like Matt said, LSU got him last year. FSU got him last year. This year in Orlando, so it's kind of like a flip flop. I think last year was in New Orleans. I think
Tallahassee. I apologize.
No, it's all good. I think
that's right.
And I think the game will be played. It sounds like the Hurricanes moving on, and the damage is not as bad as some would have thought it would have been. So I think the game's still going to be played on Sunday night. LSU is my national champion pick. So I'm really high on them. I think it's because there's just so many questions at quarterback with teams in front of them other than Michigan. But I'm going to take LSU. I think LSU wins by 7-10.
All right, Sammy P.
Okay, I'm going to punt this one, not to be political. I don't love anything in this game. Not to argue with you, Kevin, but I went under 9.5 wins on LSU at +110. So I'm a little short on the LSU SEC champion, national champion hype, and that doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong by any means. I kind of want to see it to believe it.
No, fuck that. Just say it, Sam.
No, I mean, look, here's the thing: if their quarterback is good enough, they can win 10 or 11 games. They could beat Alabama. They could win the SEC. It's not impossible. I just like I told you, I book bets for a long time, and there are two teams right now that are way too popular. One of them is LSU, the other one's Colorado, and I know how that story ends more times than not. Colorado over 3.5 wins, LSU over 9.5. Those are two very trendy plays. It doesn't, like I said, I don't want to kick you in the balls here. I think that this is a coin flip game. And if they lose this game, it'll obviously, the trajectory could, like if they win, they could go 11-1. But if they lose, Brian Kelly starts losing some of the leaders in that room. It could be an interesting season there. So that's a long way of me saying, like, I don't have my nuts on the line here like you do, but I'm not touching this game with your money. I wouldn't bet this shit for anything.
Right on, bro.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think. How much do we have on the line, Kev? If you miss, be honest. What do you got on the line?
That's a topic for another day.
Okay, all right, that's fine. The next game,
$7.
Oh, okay. Some Benjamins. I mean, I get that. But next, this is an intriguing game to me for a couple of reasons. And Sam, I'm going to start with you with this one just because I'm interested. Cam Rising may not play. I think he's actually going to be out. It looks like Cam Rising, Utah's quarterback, is injured. So this line, I thought it was like 6.5 a couple of days ago. And once the Cam Rising news came out, who's been there, all-world quarterback that's led them to, Pac-12, title games and championships and all kinds of things, he's not playing against Florida tomorrow. The game is in Salt Lake City. How big of a factor to you is it that Cam Rising's not playing? And we'll start with you, Sam. 4.5. Utah is a 4.5-point favorite.
We bet under. I was in Vegas August, like 8, 9, 10, 11, and I bet under 47. I never thought he was going to play in the first place, and I've written about this and talked about this on podcasts. So I don't mean to like pass post on your show here, but under 47, I feel like is a great bet. And even at 44.5 right now, I would still go under. It was like the worst kept secret in college football. Like, they were like, oh, Cam might play. Cam might, yeah. He's not playing. Like, I'll tell you right now, he's not playing. So Utah's actually on quarterback 3 because quarterback 2 got hurt a couple weeks ago. So they're on Bryson Barnes, who's their third-string quarterback. But, it's not much easier. It's not like sunshine and rainbows for Florida either. They're on a brand-new quarterback. Anthony Richardson's gone into the NFL. So they have Graham Mertz. We all remember Graham Mertz stunk it up at Wisconsin for a couple of years, and now he's there. They got the centers hurt. The left tackle's hurt. Their receiver room is extremely young and extremely weak. So I just don't know where the offense comes from. And this is a weather game. What I mean by that is we have 20 to 30 mile-an-hour winds tomorrow in Salt Lake City at night. So it's going to be hard to get those big plays through the air. I think the defenses sort of stack the boxes. I know that this is not the greatest number compared to where I have it at 47, but even at 44.5, I'd probably go under. This feels like a 24-14, 24-17 type game. You're going to sweat it because it's a low total. Like, it doesn't take a lot to get over 44, 45. But I'm under in the game, and I think both of these offenses are going to really struggle to get big plays, and I think they're really going to struggle inside the red zone.
Before I go to Kat or Matt, just want you to know nothing you say about what you can or nothing's going to offend me or the guys about it. It's okay. I just wanted you to come on, and you obviously have way more knowledge of who's all injured, who's not than that. I just know Cam Rising not playing and then making a big deal of it was worth mentioning. So Matt, you're next.
Yeah, I took a look at this game, and I probably, if I didn't have to pick it for the show, definitely would be a pass for me. But just because there's just too many unknowns going into this game, especially now you're, as Sam said, you're on a third-string quarterback, and you got a little bit of a weather issue here. But
we did agree on these. We did agree on these games before we did the show. But I mean,
I know
he's learning. Hold on, don't stop the learning. All right, he's learning right now. He's gonna pass.
The Graham Mertz at QB for Florida, I hated him at Wisconsin. Could not stand watching him. I thought he was terrible. Didn't think he deserved to be the starting quarterback there. I don't see how he comes into Florida and leads them down the field consistently to score, especially in the SEC. I like Utah here, -4.5. And, with not knowing too much about both sides, that's where I'm going.
I'm on Utah. Florida, I mean, here's another weather thing. There's elevation there. That's a froggy thing, and that's a froggy thing that played into the game last year when Utah had to go to Florida early and play in the swamp and that sticky humidity. I think that affects the Gators. I also watched that game. Anybody who watched that game, Anthony Richardson bailed Florida out over and over and over again with his athleticism and covered up a lot of garbage that was happening out there. Utah, clearly the better team, had the better season, lost that game. There's a little bit of a revenge factor here. I love hearing what Sam said now. I mean, the under looks sexy, but I'm going to take Utah, and I'm going to give the points.
So let me add a little bit on top to that. So when the news officially came out, well, not officially, it officially came out today, but the reports really started to circulate last night that Rising was out. That line went from 7 and 6.5 down to 4. So, laying 4 is a lot different than laying 6.5, 7. And there's been some buyback on the favorite here. I think one of the guys in the chat, St. Dominic's Rosary, love that name. He's onto it. Like, this would be the time to lay the favorite, because everybody knows Rising's out, and that line, they're going to probably rule him out tomorrow officially at like 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. And when that happens, that line's going to come down. But the wise guys have proven they're going to lay 4 and they're going to lay 5.5 because they're going to buy low on Utah. This line opened at 9.
9, yeah.
So Cam Rising's good, but Cam Rising's also a white quarterback. Like, it's not like he's not winning the Heisman Trophy. He's not going to be a first-round pick. Like, he's not Lamar Jackson. So I think anything like under 5 you can lay with Utah. And I can say that because I'm white, right?
Absolutely.
That's right. And with that said, we'll go to another white guy, Kevin. What do you got on that?
Oh no, I'm on Utah giving the points.
Okay, all right. I just know you maybe didn't elaborate as well. Plus, I'm reading all St. Dominic's Rosaries, all his thoughts for the day. Apparently, I do love all.
I'm in agreement with most of them, so let's do it.
Yeah, he's a long time follower, watcher, and he does have some good stuff. So it looks like before we get to our locks. We've got and Sam, maybe you don't have a lock. That's okay if you don't have one. But it looks like we're going to go to the last one of the night. We've got South. Was it USC?
The Battle of the Carolinas.
Yes,
we've got North Carolina.
USC, South Carolina, North Carolina. I'll start with you, Kev. What was your pick on that?
All right, so this is one of my favorite bets in college football. I don't think it holds true nearly in NFL, right? And this especially holds true. This game's on Saturday night, which is fine, but this game was on a Thursday or Friday night. It's even better, right? If you get it's called my favorite thing, home dogs in prime time. I love underdogs in prime time. Give it to me all day long. Like I said, especially on an off night, a weird night, Thursday night, Friday night. Student section's nuts. They're drunk. They're getting after it. But also, South Carolina's pretty damn good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the number here is UNC's given 2.5 because the public knows one name in this game, and that's Drake May. And he is really damn good. Him and his ugly-ass older brother, Luke, whatever. I'm taking South Carolina here. I think Beamer's got something going. South Carolina's always had talent. He's moving the thing there, and it's just one of my favorite bets. Home underdogs in prime time. Give me 2.5 points, and I'll take the Gamecocks.
All right, Matt.
Couldn't agree more, Kev. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm on. I love what Beamer has been able to do with South Carolina so far. I think he's got them going in the right direction. He's getting players. He knows how to coach them up. And I would even do a little money line sprinkle on South Carolina here. At 2.5, it's worth it. I say just go for it. I think Spencer Rattler will be ready to play. You do make a good point with Drake May. I mean, really talented quarterback. He's going to keep North Carolina in every single game. But give me the home dog in prime time, as Kev said.
I had to mention this too. 64.5 though. 64.5. So what are you feeling on that? Like, that's a lot of points, but I mean, the quarterbacks are obviously going to be pro.
Yeah, I want to ask Sam what he thought about the new rule change with, more in line with the NFL now. The clock's still running. So how is that going to affect over unders as we move forward.
Yeah, so we had a lot more unders in week 0 than we did in week 1, but we also had a lot of bad teams playing. I mean, there weren't. I mean, how many explosive offenses played week 0? Like, I'll give you USC and
that's it.
Maybe Notre Dame, maybe, but when they play somebody better than Navy, it's not going to be fireworks all night. I think this total is actually, pretty strong. I would still, you could find a 64. I'd go over. It's Drake May. It's Spencer Rattler. Like, the good thing about these two guys is they're going to keep chucking it. They're probably going to throw the ball 35, 40 times a piece. And even if they don't connect for 50-yard touchdowns, like, you have pick 6 potential. You got, strip 6 potential. You got a lot of speed. You have bad defenses. You got warm weather. Guys are going to be tired. North Carolina last year played Appalachian State, and I want to say it was like
75 to 78.
Yeah, it was like – forget it. Like that's a high total, and then they scored 120 points. So I'm inclined to lean over. I don't love it, but I would bet over before I bet under 64.
You like a side in this one, Sam?
If I could get 3 with the dog, I'd take 3. I think one of you guys like the dog on the money line, and I think that's fair too. But I just think the last team to have the ball is going to win. And I could make a case for either side. So let's just bet on both teams to cross the goal line a lot. These are also 2 coaches that don't kick field goals. Like, they sort of gamble. They go for it. 4th and 2, 4th and 3, they're going to go for it. I'm over.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Unlike Navy's head coach kicking field goals down 42.
Oh my!
That was a big kick, though, man. You got to cut it to 39 when you're down 42.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. The Lovie Smith School of Coaching.
Lord, don't now. Yeah, okay. If I had hair, I'd have been pulling it out.
Dude, SDR dropping knowledge. Phil Longo, no longer at UNC as offensive.
Oh, he's at old whiskey.
Yeah.
Kevin, start with you. Lock of the week. Come on, Kevin. 3-1 last week. What you got?
Yeah, it's now I feel like I'm sitting here with a professional, and he said, "Be careful, don't do it." But fuck it, I'm doing it. Like, there's just
right.
Minnesota, like I said, one of the best defenses around with no offense, and Nebraska in a new scheme with a new quarterback. Yeah, they're going to be physical. Yeah, they're going to try and run the ball. It's the first game of the year. Defense is fresh. They're going to be flying around. I see that game as like 17-14. Give me the under 42.5, Nebraska and Minnesota.
All right, Matt. I mean, let's just be honest. Can't get any worse than week 0. Hit us with the
No, it sure can't. It sure can't. I'm going to West Lafayette, and I'm looking at new head coach Ryan Walters and his defense with Kevin Kane there as the DC. I'm taking Purdue -4. And I know Kev does not like it, but I'm going to go with Purdue here -4. I just think their defense will hold court here. I know they're not going to be Illinois type defense game 1, but it's going to be different. They still have good D, and I don't think – I forget. I'm drawing a blank at who they're playing.
Fresno State.
Fresno State, that's right. Yeah.
You might want to know that if it's your lock, Matt. Come on.
No, I know. But I'm just going with Purdue -4.
All right. So since we're not going to do a lock for Sam, I felt like this is a good one because, I think it goes with you. I got CP's best bet week 1.
Bang. There we go. A lot better. I feel a lot more comfortable, not as overwhelmed with the word lock. It's my favorite Simpsons episode of all time, by the way, when Homer teaches Lisa how to gamble and they're watching TV and they go, wow, that's a really big lock. I have my best bet would be San Jose State. We saw them score a lot of points against USC. They are actually at home on Sunday afternoon against Oregon State. Oregon State hasn't played a game yet. So I love these spots where you get a dog that we know can move the ball. San Jose State had 400 yards against USC. 400. That's a lot. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to cover 17 rather easily. I'm not going to call upset alert, but I think San Jose State getting 17 at home is way too many points. So that's my play. I love the dog in that one. Cordero's a sixth-year quarterback, very good, very electric. He threw a 30-yard touchdown against USC. I think their rhythm from week 1 offensively builds over into week 2. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to take 17 with San Jose State.
Yeah, that number. I saw that as well. I was like, "Ooh!" I kind of
Wow.
I'd ride I'd read the Spartans. Is it 2 weeks in a row? I'm in.
Yeah.
Kevin, you got that wheel ready?
Oh, I do actually, but I wanted to share one thing, and this is not an official pick, but I love the over in the Purdue game. I think there's a fallacy of people thinking about Ryan Walters as a defensive guy. I don't think they have talent on that side of the ball. I think all the talent for Purdue is on the other side of the ball. I think there's still going to be some scoring. I like over 47.5.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
All right. So really quickly before we get to the winner, we're giving away 2 tickets to Illinois Toledo. We've got a bunch of people who've either liked or retweeted it or tweeted at the shows the last week who are entered in to win, and we've got them all on a big fun wheel that we're gonna screen share and gonna pick a name. But so my one pick that I'm going to talk about, and we've all agreed on it, I've got Illinois over 6.5 win total. And I know, Sammy, you told me you've already put that down, right?
Yeah, I bet over 6.5 at -110. I bet that like a month ago. I think that number's a little disrespectful given the way they're going to control the ball this year.
Love it.
I agree.
Love it.
Kevin, you're in agreement with over 6.5, right?
Oh yeah, I'm bullish. I'm. You want to talk about super Illinois fans, Sam? I got 10 wins.
I'll bet. Give me under 10. I'll middle it.
Okay.
Give me some juice on that. Like we need some juice on that.
Give me under 10. I'll lay $3 right now.
Okay, and Matt, we're in agreement. We both got 9 and 3. We're a little more tempered, Sam.
A little tempered.
9 and 3, I think, a reasonable. 8 and 4, I think they're going to surpass last year's schedule. To me, adds up to be 9. They got a tough game at Maryland. I think they're going to split at least at Kansas and at home against Penn State. And depending on if Shannon comes back for Iowa and Cade McNamara's health, I like them at Iowa. So I'm just saying I think they'll fall maybe one more time in there somewhere because they're never going to just win every game they should. That's just not how it works. So I got 9 and 3.
Ryan, I mean, I think one of the things we should do, we'll do the draw of the tickets. We'll talk a little bit. That's not necessarily fade the do stuff. So if Sam did want to hop off, I want to give him that opportunity. This guy's time's expensive. He's good at this shit. Hey, that being said, Sam, where can folks find you, man? I want where can we follow you? Where can we see you? Are you you're doing the Fox Sports thing? What's up, man? Where can we catch you?
I would just say, to make it simple, you can follow me on Twitter at SPShoot. Just don't follow me home from work. I know a lot of people want to do that sometimes, especially
well, it depends how good looking she is.
Well, yeah, that's not what I meant. Oh, nice pick, pussy. Like, I get that all the time.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate, but it's part of the life. Just follow on Twitter at SPShoot.
All right, we'll do, man.
And I'll be actually retweeting the article on your Fox bet that you just did for week 1. So it's a good article there with your picks. And again, if you're okay to jump on, watch for a few minutes, we're just going to do this little pick here. I mean, if you're cool with that, or you can hop off, whatever you want to do, Sam.
I'm going to mute myself and just watch. How about that?
That sounds cool.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Sam. Hey, I'm going to bring you on one more before this year's over.
Mid-season.
Love to have you, brother. We can talk where we're standing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Sam. Thanks.
All right, so big shout out to my friend Jeff Dahl, Illinois fan here in Oklahoma City with me. He's been so courageous and gracious to, he bought season tickets because he believes in this team. But he's going to go to the Penn State game, so God bless him for that. It's the best game on the schedule. Yeah. I don't blame him. But he's agreed to give away some tickets this year. And so for all the folks out there that have retweeted, have jumped on, have said things, like, we put your name in a randomizer. And I'm going to go ahead and share that randomizer with everybody real quick.
And there's a lot of names. It took him probably 20 minutes. It took me 30 minutes to write them all down.
Yeah, so you can see here we got all these names in here. By the way, Wheel of Names randomizer. This is great for fantasy football drafting or anything like that you got. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a click to spin here. Uh-oh. It's like Price is Right and shit.
R.I.P. Bob Barker.
Shank in the face.
Snake in the face.
Yeah, he commented on our YouTube channel last week. So by all means, Shank in the face. If we can find you, please let us know. We will give those tickets away.
Shake in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, is that all there was? Like, is there another name with it? Like,
no, it was a commenter on our YouTube page, Ryan. But I'm going to do one more time. I'm going to see if we can get another click to spin here in case we can't hear from Shank in the face. Shank in the face.
I mean, come on, use a real name. What is that? Go ahead.
Where's our guy?
Wayne Blair.
Wayne. Did that didn't share? Hold on a second. Did it? Wayne Blair?
Yeah, I didn't share. My mistake. I'm a little too excited about Shank in the face. Wayne
All
Blair.
right, go ahead and do it again. Dude, this is it. Go ahead.
Hey, they're horseshoe tickets. It's not like we're sitting the 50-yard line. So, Dexter Washington.
Dexter Washington. Okay, he's one of my followers on Twitter. He's an awesome guy. So if Shank in the face does not comment or send me a message or anything by, I'd say early morning, maybe noonish tomorrow, then I'll get a hold of Dexter on in the afternoon about we'll be able just to email the tickets, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need some information there, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. And big shout out to our guys, to my guy Jeff Dahl there. Love to find a way to do this as some kind of charity opportunity, but that's a little bit challenging. So if anybody has any ideas, shoot us a note, let us know. So
yeah, no doubt. And again, thanks a lot to Sam. He is muted right now, but he's still there with us. Great guy, a great guy. I think I'll be going on his Chicken Dinner podcast one time during the middle of football season to discuss the Big Ten race and all that stuff. So, and I'll be repping Fade the Deuce on there. I promise. I'm a promise. So, with that said, Matt,
what's a great idea for a show for Sam is like a pros versus Joes, and he can invite. I'm more of a Joe than Matt. He can invite me.
I'll be a Joe.
Yeah, he can invite us on and just kick our ass one week. He when he started talking to some of my picks, I was like, oh shit, man, I'm on the wrong side here.
Were we pretty much? Were we pretty much in line this week?
We were. Matt, I tried. I looked. You submitted your picks first to Ryan, and I tried. I see it the same way you see it this week. Minnesota, like we can go down the line. I mean, Homer
right.
pick maybe Illinois, Minnesota. That's too many points.
South
Carolina playing at home, Penn State playing at home. There's all these factors. I didn't like. I like the sides we're on. I just couldn't disagree with you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You went 0-4 last week, so I had to just fail you.
Yeah, I just looked at this list. Yeah, you guys literally have the same picks. Okay, so
thank God Sam was on the show, or else it'd have been a shitty show because nobody wants to see two guys agreeing the whole time.
Maybe that's why I invited him. But no, it's but the locks are different. So at least we have that.
Yeah.
And I do have the graphic made for everybody, and I will post it right after we get off of this. So and when I gotta love the guy that I'll actually be giving him a shout and posting his Twitter handle on the old social media, the X, because he does a great job, man. I love the artwork because he did our Fade the Deuce logo, and he's done. Great. Yeah, so I'll be posting that. And you know what, Matt? No matter what, you and Kev, if Kev does good, you're gonna do good, and if he doesn't do good, well, then it is. So it's smart, even though you didn't pick, but you didn't follow him. You actually gave me your picks first. So
this is true.
So with that said, guys, I'm excited for week 1 tomorrow night. College football's back, my favorite time of the year, and then we'll be doing we're going to be mixing in some NFL picks for next week's show.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Thanks for all the comments too, man. We got
real quick, people. Our stuff is just for fun. Like we don't actually promote gambling. So if you do that, if you got a problem, call that 1-800-GAMBLER number.
That's right. We are not professionals.
Jacksonville Jaguars. If the number's still at 4.5, I don't give. That number's at 14.5. Jacksonville Jaguars week 1. Indianapolis is a hot freaking mess. Anthony Richardson sucks. No Jonathan Taylor. Jacksonville is going to beat their freaking ass week 1. If you can get to the window now before that number moves with no Jonathan Taylor, do it. Do it. I mean, I might bet that at 17.5. I might alt it. I might alt it for the juice.
Now, remember, if you do want professional tips, all that, follow at SP Shoot Sam Panayotовich. He's the man. He's got a podcast, does a couple shows, articles. But anyway, also coming with Matt. Matt, maybe one day, Matt possibly during hoop season might dabble into some article stuff, which might be neat. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love to.
And then Kevin has dropped his first article. I'll be retweeting that and posting it in the morning. Illinois expectations are back for football. It doesn't get any better than that. I thought it was a great article, Kev. So I'm happy that you're writing. So
yeah, I've got another. I'll have another one coming up this week. It might be too much for young folks. It'll resonate with the old heads, but I've got one that's going to harken back.
I had to pull out your Western Michigan comment. See, I read your article.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, man. All right. But with that said, guys, hey, safe travels, Matt, as you finish up your work week. And Kev, we'll talk. We got Sunday night, Keeping It Orange and Blue coming. So we'll talk about Illinois, Toledo. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm working on maybe getting a Kansas rider on for that show if we can. So, and Matt, hey, you're in the ABQ, man. Stay away from that blue stuff.
Yeah. Walter's out there right now. I'm going to go meet him.
Don't hang out with Jesse. That's bad news, man.
All right. Well, that's Matt. I'm Swami. That's Duce. Swami out.
ILL.
I and I.